Now, when you click on any of those links, this is where it takes you. It takes you to Rick Astley. There's enough issues with our electoral system without these guys trying to muck it up and prevent Canadians from voting. Well, folks, it's already started. At the time of recording this video, there are over 60 candidates registered so far in the by-election for Battle River Crowfoot. We launched a petition to try and stop this, but unfortunately it won't be read in the House until the fall. However, we should be thanking the Longest Ballot Committee for doing this, because the way they have been running in Battle River Crowfoot and registering these candidates, they've unwittingly been completely proving our point. Let's take a look. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where we're going to be looking at today, not from any news source, but from the source itself, which is the Elections Canada website, Voter Information Service. Now on here, you will be able to see any by-election that is actually happening, and for the by-elections that are currently underway, you will be able to actually see the entire list of candidates running in said election. As you can see, we see the list of candidates for Battle River Crowfoot, Alberta by-election Monday, August 18th, 2025. Please note that the close of nominations for candidates is Monday, July 28th, 2025. Therefore, the list of confirmed candidates may be incomplete. So what does that mean? Well, even after the writ is dropped, meaning even after an election begins, there is a deadline and cutoff as to when you can actually register candidates. This is to make sure that anyone that has any unexpected issues can file their paperwork accordingly so they can exercise their democratic right to run. So in the case of Battle River Crowfoot, even though the writ dropped a week or two ago, they have up until the 28th, which is what, 3 weeks before the actual election day, they have up until the 28th of July to actually register their candidate. So we still have about 12 days left. Now, let's show you the list as it is right now. Here it is, folks. Here it is. Pretty much 60 candidates, and I believe it's exactly 60. And they're all over the place, but you'll notice that under the name of the official agent for most of the candidates, 55 of them to be exact, is the same person that has been registering people in all of the other by-elections and general elections when the longest ballot is choosing to run. So it's that same person. Now, it was interesting because as I was looking, I had copied all of this into a spreadsheet and I was going to start doing some analysis. The first bit was just a general account as to how many of them actually were. And then I noticed that many of them had a website link. And you'll see it on the Elections Canada website as well. But normally I wouldn't have even bothered. But this just got me curious. So I clicked on the first link. And this is supposed to be the link for the candidate website so that voters can learn a little bit more about the candidate, what their platform is, maybe donate to them, maybe contact them to ask any questions, to understand more about their platform, whatever. But not all of these candidates had a website. Very few did, actually. And of the ones that did, only a couple of them had a legit one. What do I mean by that? Well, here's just some of the websites that some of these candidates had. Here's one of the first ones. This is a longest ballot candidate. And all this is this image on a YouTube video. And it is a terribly written song about this alleged candidate. That's all this is. Now we have Bonnie Critchley, who is a legitimate independent candidate for Battle River Crowfoot. Nothing to say about Bonnie other than she's exercising her democratic right. She's running legitimately to try and become the member of parliament for Battle River Crowfoot. and she has a legitimate website. She is running in good faith. Here's another one of the longest ballot candidates, and as you see, after you click on the link to go to their website, the website is completely broken. It just says loading, please wait, and that's it. Here's Michael Harris, who is another actual legitimate candidate running in Battle River Crowfoot. So here's his website, Michael Harris for MP, running to put liberty on the ballot, etc., etc. So again, nothing to say about Mr. Harris. Seems to be running a legitimate campaign, seems to be actually exercising his democratic right. Here is another candidate that is running under the longest ballot committee, and this is another terribly written song, and his name is Preston Hoff, but it's the song is actually written over footage of Baywatch, and he's kind of trying to equate himself to David Hasselhoff. So interesting that they're choosing to do that. They could potentially get a copyright strike from YouTube for it. But again, this is just a terribly written song, pretty much as a joke for this candidate. Here's another one. And I should also mention that it's the same quote-unquote band or group that is writing songs for every single one of these people. So this is Kimberly Nugent, who is running in Battle River Crowfoot, and this is what you get when you click on her website. Yet another one, terribly written song to some sort of, video footage that I don't care to watch, and it's also under the longest ballot. Here's another one, under the longest ballot. Didn't bother to watch it, didn't bother to listen to it. Here's another one. Now this one I'm kind of glad they did this. I actually am. So this is a website for Dakota Horry, running in Battle River Crowfoot, under the longest ballot. Now, it's a website that is meant to simulate a green screen, as we say in the IT industry, where there is actually no mouse and keyboard. Everything is just ran through commands by your actual keyboard. If you recall the old Commodore 64s and old systems like that, most of the commands and navigation was actually using keyboard and commands entered in. But this one, it actually ran through this fake loading program where it said, I want to eliminate all anti-homeless measures and replace them with couches and plush pillows and just a bunch of obviously fake things. And you can see at the bottom where it says donate to the void or join the glitch mob. Now when you click on any of those links, this is where it takes you. Takes you to Rick Astley as a Rickroll. So I'm glad they did this. I really, really am. Why am I glad they did this? Because what we've been saying is the longest ballot committee has been doing this to make a complete mockery of our elections. Originally, they positioned this as they're protesting the first past the post system. But there's no evidence here that this is actually a protest. If it was, these links wouldn't be going to badly written songs on YouTube. They wouldn't be trying to rickroll people in going to a donation website or trying to understand more about this quote-unquote candidate. It would make more sense if all of these website links actually went back to the longest ballot, where it actually gave you information of why there's a protest in the first place. What are they trying to achieve? When will this stop? What needs to be achieved in order for this to stop? There's nothing. There's absolutely nothing. So what all this does, in my opinion, is it proves our point that these guys have no interest in doing anything. They have no interest in doing any hard work. They have no interest in protesting. This is just a joke. The problem is this joke is making it more difficult for Canadians to vote. And it's deplorable. It's disgusting because there's Canadians, real Canadians, that have disabilities, and it makes this really, really difficult for them to vote. And if they get up to 200 candidates, there's going to be very, very small font on these ballots. And now you're potentially impacting people with eyesight disabilities, senior citizens. You're making it difficult for now a wider swath of people to actually vote. Now, there's one other reason that I'm annoyed with these people. And it proves that they have no desire to actually campaign, and they have no desire to actually do any of this seriously. David Zhu, Jenny Cartwright, Blake Hamilton, David Cherniak, John Francis O'Flynn, and Mark Mutter. What do these people have in common? Well, not only are they running in Battle River Crowfoot, they ran in Carleton, they ran in LaSalle or Marverdun, and my guess is they're going to be running in other by-elections and elections when they actually come up. So all they do is they follow elections around just to put their name on. This is a complete joke. It's making a complete mockery of our electoral system. And as we've said before, our petition against the longest ballot, it is non-partisan. We're not trying to do this just to get conservatives to vote. We're trying to do this so that all Canadians can vote, and that all Canadians can vote without having to deal with this garbage of having to deal with a meter-long ballot with tiny font. Voting should be simple, and it should be easy, and it should be taken seriously by everyone involved in that process. And our petition calls on the Government of Canada to fast-track legislation that Conservatives agree with, and the Chief Electoral Officer that was appointed by Justin Trudeau that he agrees with, because he put forward the same demands and the same pleas as that are in our petition, but we've added some extras to penalize people that actually try and run and don't take this seriously. So this is just another call for people across the country to put pressure on your member of parliament to make them aware of the petition's existence. We will link it in the description. The petition is closed, so nobody can sign it any longer, but they should be standing up in the House and supporting this petition when it is read this fall. There's enough issues with our electoral system without these guys trying to muck it up and prevent Canadians from voting. So let's get it done.